Hello, welcome to Switched On. My name's Paul, and today's video about Grid Autosport on the Nintendo Switch, and we're going to do a second part of a Q&A. So, Feral Interactive held a Ask Me Anything on Reddit last night, Tuesday evening, and for those of you that maybe missed it or don't use Reddit, what I thought I'd do is take some of the most popular questions that were asked there, and also a lot of the questions that have been asked on videos on my channel here, put them together in another Q&A just to give you one final sort of questions and answers session about the game that of course comes out tomorrow. So just before getting to that, just a couple of things. Wanted to say thank you once again for all the new subscribers that have joined up looking at this grid coverage. Appreciate everybody that subscribes, and we ticked over 3,000 for the channel, which was awesome the other day, so really pleased with that, and just thanks again for joining and sticking around and commenting. I did plan to do a video on every single track in the game, to do like a lap of every track. Fortunately, even though I've recorded most of them, it's proved to be too big of a project to edit for what I've got available, both time-wise and equipment-wise. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that. I do apologise, but what I'm going to do is run some of that footage in the background of this video, and I will also use some of it in my review that's coming out tomorrow too. So let's get into the questions and answers, and the first question, and most importantly, is the game comes out tomorrow and people want to know when it's coming out. Well, during the Ask Me Anything on Reddit, Feral Interactive confirmed that it's coming out at midnight UTC, which my understanding of world time means that it'll be out at midnight in each region. So whatever time midnight is in your region, obviously midnight's always midnight in your region, but you get what I mean. Midnight here isn't the same as midnight in Japan, for example. So midnight in your region, the game will be out. So when you get up in the morning, it should be there ready to play, which is great news. A few people have asked about resolution. Just to confirm, it's 1080p docked and 720p handheld. So that's good news. That HD graphics pack that's coming, quite a lot of people have been really interested and excited about that. Feral were asked about that yesterday, and they've confirmed that it's 3 gigabytes approximately in size, so quite a chunky addition. I believed it was 1 gigabyte, maybe that was just the iPhone version, but it's 3 gigabytes in size, so quite a big download. Obviously a completely optional download. Game looks great without it, as you've seen in my coverage hopefully over the past week. They also said it sharpens the textures of all the car models in all 3 of the optimization modes. Specifically, you will see a nicer paint job, much sharper decals, especially when you get close up. They also confirmed that it won't affect the performance, so that's very interesting. So you're going to get a much better looking game, much shinier graphics at the same performance levels. They also gave an example image that I'll now throw up on the screen, just to give you an example of the kind of improvements you're likely to see. People have been asking about cars and tracks in the game, and again was confirmed yesterday there's a 101 cars, which includes all the cars from DLCs of the past, and 145 different track variations. Now I'm just going to show you some of the variations in this video here. You just press the X button as you're viewing a track and you get to cycle through all the different variations. A lot of people have been asking about the online multiplayer as well, and they spoke quite a lot about that in the AMA yesterday. There's still no ETA on that, and it could even be next year. Somebody asked, is it coming in the next few months or could it be next year? And they sort of didn't confirm either way, so it could really possibly be pushed into the early part of next year. Split screen multiplayer is coming though, and the update will also include a leaderboard tracking system for those of you that want competitive matchup. So that's good news, but just it's a shame we've got no news yet on when that online element is coming. It will be free, of course, we've mentioned that before, just don't know when it's coming. As I mentioned earlier, DLC is included in the base game, so all the DLC that's ever been released for Grid over the years on the PC, PlayStation, Xbox are all bundled into the base game, so there's no additional downloads apart from that HD textures pack if you want it. There's no additional DLC planned beyond the launch of the game, although they were interested in a few ideas that were put to them yesterday, but I wouldn't hold my breath on anything new coming to this game. Obviously one of the biggest questions that I get, and they were asked a lot yesterday as well, is where the physical version is and when that's coming. They said they definitely want to do a physical version. They're as keen to do it as everybody is to buy it. They're just having a few licensing issues that are holding things up, which is understandable. The game's got a lot of licensed content in it, licensed cars and tracks, locations, that kind of thing. So you can see that would be quite a complicated process to all smooth out. So I'm sure as soon as they get over those humps, there'll be a physical version coming. But again, you know, there's no indication of time. So if you're sort of thinking of holding on, hoping a physical version's coming next month or, you know, December, just go ahead and buy the game digitally, because there's just no idea when that cartridge version will be coming. Controller support reconfirmed again that only GameCube controllers will work with analog buttons. No other third-party controllers will work, so the 8-bit Do doesn't work. And also, quite interestingly, if you use the 8-bit Do wireless GameCube dongle to connect to the Switch, does not work. So it looks like it needs to be a wired connection with an official GameCube controller, and that's the only way you're going to get analog triggers in the game. Talking of analog controls, somebody asked if you could use the single Joy-Con controller with right stick, or, you know, it's obviously only one stick on a single Joy-Con, but, you know, joystick analog control. I've tried this out this morning, and the good news is you can do it. I'm just going to quickly show you in a video here how that works. So you just need to go into your control options, so either from the main menu or when you're in a race, and go on to Solo Joy-Con Horizontal. And then if you do Add New Configuration, so the green box at the top, and it will ask you to copy one of these two default ones to sort of base your new copy on. And then you can edit away to your heart's content. So if you have a look at what I've done here, all I did was remap accelerate and brake to the left stick up and down there. So that's all you need to do. You can set up your other buttons there as you wish. And then obviously you need to remember in the control submenu here to turn on motion controls. And then you'll be able to use the tilt control of a single Joy-Con, whether you want to stick it in a wheel or just hold it in your hands. And you've got the analog throttle and braking on the joystick as well. I actually had to go this myself this morning. It's very difficult. It's like patting your head and rubbing your tummy. So good luck if you want to do that. But at least it's there as an option if you wanted to do it. Like so many other things in this game, you know, you've got so much choice. So if that is the way you want to play, you can definitely do that in this game. Okay, so they were all the main points. I've now got some other questions, some smaller ones that people have asked that I just wanted to pop up and answer. So the first question was, are there ghosts in Time Trial? There certainly are. I'll stick a video up in the background here just while I chat over it. But there's a limited number of tracks in Time Trial, so you don't get to sort of time trial on any track you want. There is a sort of preset selection. And when you've obviously completed the very first lap on that track, that's saved as a ghost, and then every time you beat that ghost, the actual ghost is updated. It's persistent as well, so if you go back into the track, your best ghost for that track will be there for you to race against. So that's excellent news for all you time trial fans. Next up is drag races. A few people have asked if the funny cars are in drag racing, and also if there are any one-on-one races, because the footage that I've showed so far has included neither of those. Can confirm that both the funny cars are in, as you should be able to see in the background now if I can run the video. And also when you choose the official drag racing competitions from extra competitions on the main menu, you do get those full events of drag racing. So you play through the heats and then you square off one-on-one against other AI cars. So that's awesome. Hope that answers that question for the few people that were asking it. Also, somebody asked about the number of laps in the game. You can change this from the options menu, but there's only options to do normal, ×2, ×3 and ×5, which is fine, but then that only affects the career mode races. So rather oddly, it seems you can't set the number of laps in a quick race, which seems a bit odd and a bit of an oversight, but I couldn't find anywhere to change that. So you can increase the number of laps in career races, but not in quick mode. Car customization is another thing people have asked about. It's been sort of spoken about that in the previous games, that online you could change the livery of your car and design your own car. Feral Interactive yesterday said that this probably won't be included in the update, just basically because they've run out of time and resources to do it. So some things had to be dropped. That is one of the things that won't be coming as of right now to the multiplayer update. So there'll be no car customization. Also, a few people have asked about a demo of the game. They were asking on the AMA as well to Ferrell if they're going to do a demo. No demo is planned. I doubt that will change, so no demo of the game. Hopefully all the coverage that you can see on the channel will give you a good enough idea of how good the game is. Weather effects as well. No weather in the game, so there's no rain or any different sort of weather effects, and there's none planned to be added at a later date. They just want to focus on the core racing, which is fair enough. It wasn't in the original game, so they're not going to go back and patch that into a remaster. Endurance races, a few people have asked how they work. They're around about 40 minutes long in real time, so be prepared for a bit of a session when you get onto an endurance race. These feature tyre wear, and you get a special tyre wear indicator on the screen while you're doing that race, but there are no pit stops. So this race is more about managing your tyres. I'm not sure how well that's going to work. I've not tried an endurance race myself yet. Have seen some footage online of other people doing it, but at least you now know how that will work. And pretty much finally, a few people asking about Ferrell's next game. The next game they're bringing out is Alien Isolation, which is coming later this year. But more interestingly for us racing fans, Ferrell have also ported in the past Dirt Rally, and a few of the Dirt games, and also a few Formula 1 games, a few of the older ones, not the most recent ones, but a few of the older F1 games, I think like 2015, 16, maybe 17 as well, ported from PC to Mac. No sign of those yet. They wouldn't rule out porting the next version of F1. They said they've got a really good relationship with Codemasters, and it's just kind of a wait and see kind of thing. I guess if Grid sells really well, and we can all prove that there's a market there for simulation games on the Switch, then they'd obviously be more inclined to look into porting something like a Dirt Rally or a Formula 1 game to the Switch. So I'm sure people are going to get behind Grid anyway, and it's going to sell gangbusters. But yeah, so for the future, not completely ruling out an F1 port, although obviously far too early to confirm anything at this point. So there you go, that's all the questions that I could find answered. Hopefully that will bring you all up to date for the release tomorrow. A lot of you I know have pre-ordered the game and are excited to get on it. I'm sure you're going to love it from what I've played. I'm going to do a review, probably won't be the longest or most detailed review given the amount of coverage I've given. I mean, it's going to be absolutely no surprise that I'm going to score this really highly. Absolutely love it. It's the game I've wanted on the Switch for so long, a proper simulation racing game. So it's going to score high. It'll be absolutely no shock when that score comes in. And as I say, the review will probably just be a brief overview of what I think of the game. Somebody else just lastly asked me what my favourite track and car combination was in the game. I think I've played it quite a few times in the demos that I've done this week, but the single-seater cars, particularly the lower spec ones actually, like the C class, which are considered the slower Formula cars, but also feel the nicest to control. They're not so twitchy, and you can get some really exciting racing. So I really enjoy the Class C single-seaters, and Austria is a great track. I just love that track. Good combination of fast sections and some technical corners. Have got a soft spot for Brands Hatch, particularly the Indy layout, the Indy track, the smaller one. I was lucky enough to go and see some kart racing when it used to be called kart, obviously now Indy cars, after being called IRL, somewhere in between. But yeah, kart racing at Brands Hatch a good few years ago, and that was excellent. It's a really short track, and again, lots of fast corners, lots of technical corners as well, so that's a really nice track to drive, especially with those slower spec open wheel cars. So hope that answers that question, and hope you all enjoyed this video. And if you have got any further questions, if there's any questions left that I haven't answered or you haven't found the answer to, please leave me a comment below and I will do my best to answer them. Just one final thank you once again for all of your support on these videos. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and please like this video if you can. Would really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next video. Thanks guys, see you later.